are inside Kolkata and in conversation with the Finance Minister of West Bengal, Dr. Amit Mitra. Dr. Mitra, thank you very much for joining us here on CNBC TV 18. You've been reaching out to investors across the country as well as in foreign countries. The UK was your first destination. I understand that soon you will be visiting the US. You talk about the future begins in West Bengal, and a lot of data has actually been put together. I'm looking at the data that's been supplied by the West Bengal government as well as the CSO. At GVA, the West Bengal growth rate is coming at about 10.48% for FY 14-15. The agri and allied sector growth is much higher than the national average at 6.46%. Services growing at about 12%. Industry at 8%. Per capita at almost 13%. If you can give us a sense of how much you've been able to draw in by way of private investment, because the story is looking better on several parameters as I've just pointed out. But what has that resulted in terms of private investment into the state?
I think private investment comes when you have certain parameters met. The first of which, of course, is macroeconomic parameter, which you have so succinctly summed up for us, for the state, data coming from the center. Second, of course, is the private investment comes when you have infrastructure development.
Yes.
Now, you'd be happy to know that the growth in infrastructure, it's phenomenal, so I have to read you the exact number. Take, for example, state plan expenditure, which goes into various forms of things that the industry uses. That has grown by 311% in the last 4 years, which is a record of sorts. More interesting is that capital expenditure,
that's right,
from where you have roads, bridges, etc., etc., that has gone up by 601%. To give the exact figure, 2,225 crores when we came to office. It's 13,375 crores now. So industry looks forward to capital expenditure, both in human capital, social infrastructure, physical infrastructure. Now all this is the backdrop to the fact that companies after companies are now expanding. I'll give you two quick examples. TCS, Data Consulting Service, it has got 40 acres of land on which they are building for 20,000 additional IT professionals.
Okay.
Now you go to manufacturing. Tata Metallics, which is located in one of our parks, has just asked us a few weeks ago for another 300 acres in the park.
Okay.
Our own park, for expansion. Now you take the case of Anil Ambani's group, 600 crores investment in a cement plant. Imami, another cement plant. Now you'd be interested to know, we have now just probably going into production is the largest fertilizer plant, not only in eastern India, probably among the largest in the country.
Okay.
Matix, which is a sister body to SR Group.
Okay.
They have put on the ground 6,500 crores and now moving to 8,000 crores.
Okay.
That's over $1 billion US. Very next to it is the SR Johnson tiles. And I was so happy in Delhi when Kajaria, Ashok Kajaria, came to the meeting and said, I'm going to go do tiles.
Okay.
And great thing was the tiles uses gas.
So is there a cumulative number, sir? You've given us several instances of companies that are now either hiking their plans in West Bengal or putting in fresh investment. Is there a number over the last 4 years of what you've been able to draw in?
Absolutely. There's a number, and I've said it on the floor of the assembly, which means I can be eligible for privilege motion if I don't say rightly. Till last month, the total since we came to office is 87,000 crores, which is either completed or in the process of completion. So the examples I've given you are only indications of this 84,000 crores and by 87,000 crores. By the way, this is only medium and large industry.
Okay.
I'll give an example from small industry. We may have had as many as 52,000 additional small and medium enterprises. Over the last 4 years, our number of clusters have grown from 48 to over 300.
Okay.
They are very labor intensive.
Okay.
Creates many more jobs.
Since you're talking about labor, so let me bring to your attention the World Bank report. You've come in at the 11th position as far as the overall state ranking is concerned. Percentage-wise, on the 98 parameters that the World Bank has assessed states, you've come in at a little under 47%. A lot of work needs to be done. As per that report, acceleration required on a whole bunch of parameters. For instance, single window clearance. And I know the government has made the attempt to go in for a single window clearance through your Shilp Sathi program. Other areas where they believe that acceleration is required, for instance, on e-courts and so on and so forth. But on one front, they have very clearly acknowledged the work that's been done by your government, and that is as far as tax-related norms, but using technology are concerned. And you are one of the 3 states that have been able to move that.
E-taxation.
E-taxation. What do you make of the report, and what more can we expect in terms of the areas where the World Bank report says more needs to be done?
We need to understand what is the methodology. Number 2, to be honest with you, the DIPP came to Kolkata. We didn't see the World Bank guys.
Okay.
So we'd like to know from the bank as to what is the contribution that the bank made. If we are short somewhere, if we are weak somewhere, we'll rectify it. But I don't think our, as you said, e-taxation is number 1. We got the highest award in the country, given by the central government in Gandhinagar. Therefore, I don't see why we are 11. I'm sure there are reasons. I'd like to study the methodology.
Political reasons, you believe?
Well, I don't know. You know, the top 5 states I find are probably all from one political perspective. Maybe they are doing well.
With the exception of Andhra Pradesh.
Andhra Pradesh is also an NDA state, don't forget. But that's okay. I'm not going to make this into a political debate. But the point is, ideally, I'd like to know the methodology from which will arise where we are weak, where we are strong, and whether where we are strong has been weighted correctly. You know, the trick to this is how you weight it. The number of tree fells, if you give it a high weight and you give something else low weight, so I would not like to dispute this without having the methodology in front of me.
Okay. Irrespective of what the World Bank says, but let's talk about the road ahead, because you yourself have acknowledged that more work needs to be done to draw in private investment and to get the business climate to be a lot more robust. What more can we expect, for instance, as far as labour reforms are concerned? Land is not an issue. As per your government, you believe that you have 4,500 acres that is available with physical infrastructure for the taking if private sector wants it. What can we expect, at least on issues like land, labour and so on and so forth?
I think what is interesting is, as far as land is concerned, you have said 4,500 crores, which is in our own parks, ready to go. But in addition, we have 1,00,000 acres, 100,000 acres, with different departments of the government, which can be availed for industry. For example, just now, the Animal Husbandry Department has given over 300 acres to the industry department, West Bengal Industrial Development Corporation, to develop an industrial park. So the land bank, as Mamata Banerjee has repeatedly said, consists of 1,00,000 acres, along with, of course, the developed infrastructure land, which is 4,400 plus another 4,000 under infrastructure construction. So as far as land is concerned, this is a red herring. In West Bengal, there is no problem with land. Whoever has asked for land has got it immediately. Now, the second question is, which you've asked, how are we going to improve ourselves further? There's no end to improvement. We should be world class. We should be competitive. You'll be happy to know that in a month and a half or so, you will see something which I'd like to keep as a mystery.
Give us some sense of what we can expect.
Well, you know, the issue is that electronically doing ease of business. I think your viewers would like to understand that when somebody applies to the industry ministry, clearances essentially come from non-industry.
That's right.
So you have the environment ministry, you have irrigation, you have fire, you have all kinds of departments. Power, for example, you have to provide power. Water, you'll have to provide. All these clearances come from other departments. Now, I would like to know which state in the country has entirely electronically delivered all these permissions. What we have done is deemed permission. That I would like to know which state has done. As you know, 20 days, 15 days, 30 days, these are all announced data. After which, if you don't get the permission, it's deemed given. The one I could not do, or our government couldn't do, deemed, is environment. We made it 15 days for green, 30 days for orange, and 60 days for those which are probably to be debated, 60 days. I cannot make it deemed because there's a public hearing involved. Barring that, what we are looking at is a complete electronic process, which no state has ever done or never attempted to do. And you know who's our partner in this? Hewlett-Packard.
Okay. And this will go online, you're saying, in a month's time?
Let me take a look at that. I don't want to make a commitment. If it happens in full form, I'm sure the Chief Minister will inaugurate that. But that's the kind of vision that the state has. Are you aware that all tendering by a government procurement in this state entirely is by e-tender? You cannot do a paper tender in West Bengal. 63 departments. I would like to know which state has complete e-tender. So these are governance issues of ease of not only doing business but ease of governance, which needs to be done. Perhaps you don't know that the Kanyashri program, which has got worldwide publicity, the reason they got the best award again in Gandhinagar for All India competition was because it was the technology used for the girl child.
That's right.
24 lakh girls have registered all on E. 22 lakhs have got their money all on e-process. If that is not governance, which is a part of e-governance, what is?